find yourself getting passed by multiple cars, as I mentioned earlier on. So you're off in a very precarious situation, but he often finds himself in these places. Doesn't qualify as well as he races.
Up front, they are getting with Lee Aberdeen and Luca Varani, not very far apart at all here. But I just want to see how Alistair Haig deals with Marcello Kessler coming around the old hairpin.
I would say it's not the best decision they've ever made, just not having done that under the safety car, really.
Yeah, they're taking their pit stop strategies from Ferrari lately or something. What's going on?
In turn one, just too much gas on them, too much feet on the out pedal, and unfortunately he's dropped him all the way down the order. But Philip Hammer is out in front by an 8.91 seconds. Dan Michael is a wall there, sir. And definitely doesn't want to be hitting that earlier on as well.
Difficult, the understeer is in the dirty air through that final corner because it's such a long corner and you get dragged off into the grass very easily. He'll have the slipstream down towards the chicane. Peterson was briefly alongside, but that slipstream has saved him and kept him in third.
Yeah, Varani now lost a little bit of time to Aberdeen, about half a second. Peterson is Pike's pushed Morton forward up ahead. He's got out of line. It's now Pike could have a go at Werrell. Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such trouble. He's got a second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Moving on to the back end of Phil Jocelyn. So there's been a lot of movers and shakers in this first 2 laps here for race.
Absolutely serious racing league. Everybody's a lot of fun. Yeah, it's all about the entertainment. So I hope everybody is enjoying themselves out there in the chat. We know that Ron is been enjoying himself watching. The Burger King machine's off into the grass a little bit there. Is that really bunching up now?
Does he have it?
Medeiros is going to get it.
Oh, they're going to toss it. They haven't got it.
He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such trouble. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the James Parfitt Broadcasting YouTube network, where you join us for the second round of the SRL TCR Championship Season number 6, and we go to Oschersleben Grand Prix circuit. My name is Zach Sweeney. I've got Dean Biggles alongside me here in the commentary booth. What is going to gearing up to be a fantastic evening of racing action. We've got qualifying, 2 20-minute races with a reverse grid along the way as well for good measure. It should be one to remember. Last week at the Hockenheim Ring was spectacular. Some of the best races I have ever seen. And also with that, the 2 media and fun races that we went to at Alton Park and Brands Hatch as well. Brilliant stuff, and one that I really cannot wait to see continue throughout the season. Gary Craig, though, leaves Hockenheim with the championship lead in the pros. 85 points to his name. And then 8 points back is Alan McCain with Matt Elmore 1 point back in third. Dan Mould, the reigning champion, only 4th after round 1 with Stephen Fry, the top 5. Then comes Johnson, Lovesey, Brown, Smith, and Alexander, your top 10. Incredibly close, which is to be expected after only round 1. 6 rounds of this championship, and round 2 comes here today. We'll take a look at the AMs in just a second, and equally as close. Fraser Garrity leaves with 75 points, 9 clear of Reese Watt, with Derek Crowther only 1 point behind to round off the top 3. Then Ryan Dudley and JB Dejoux are matched in that fight for 4th with 60 apiece. Rakovsky 53 with Alet 49. Then comes Forbes, Woodcourt, and Andrew Thompson, the top 10, with Russell Fowler just narrowly missing out on the outside of the top 10 there in P11. It's very, very close in the championship standings, which I suppose is to be expected. We'll bring in Dean Biggles now to sort of give us more insight as to that. But going forward in the championship, going forward into round number 2 at Oschersleben, I think it should be a good one, Dean.
It should be. I'm welcome, of course. This is the first time I've casted in this league for a while, stepping in, of course, for James, who is on his holiday, and Dan as well. But Phil's here, of course. Phil across the pond, welcome. I beat you again there, Phil. And I'm glad to having you trackside for this exciting round 2, as you'd mentioned, 2 of those heats that we're going to have here this evening. So you get, in case you get a little bit excited to some of the drivers and make a little mistake or whatever in the first race, well, you have a second opportunity, of course, with that reverse grid scenario as well. Practice session should be over in just a minute. So, yes, of course, welcome. And Zach, you're looking forward to this, aren't you? You're just love motor racing.
I do, yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it's not like it's my job or anything like that. Absolutely not. Anyway, in terms of Oschersleben, it's a circuit actually I've not really got a lot of experience in terms of commentary or actually racing with. It's one that is tucked away ever so slightly, but I think it is a fantastic circuit. I think the long back straight into a 90-degree left-hander, then the long open run through sort of turn 2 into maybe 3 if it's counted. A lot of hairpins, a lot of times where you're coming back on yourself, a lot of medium speed corners as well. But from the looks of things, it doesn't look to be an extensive amount of tarmac runoff. There isn't a lot of it at all. You can see it's tarmac, grass, barrier, pretty much in that order. Not a lot of that tarmac runoff that we often see sort of at Paul Ricard or just trying to think off the top of my head, where else is a Kota maybe as well. But here it really is a driver's track.
Certainly will be and is. Whether or not you're going to get that on qualifying, which is just about started right now. So we'll get the race information up, of course, there on the timing tower. And, well, of course, Zach, as every single time, I always ask the co-caster to ride on board with particular cars so you can give us a hot lap guide around this track. Quite sure anybody particularly would like to ride on board with. There's a lot of the car drivers have come back out on track.
Gary Craig on a lap. Let's see what he can do. I think the championship leader in the pros might be a good shout to give us a tour around this.
Absolutely.
3.6 kilometer circuit. There he is, Gary Craig, he's now on the back straightaway. This is towards the Shell S, the final chicane before you then enter the penultimate 2. You can see weaving around there, utilizing his outlap to best effect through the right then the left. Obviously we'll come to this when he's more in a hot lapping situation Brilliant circuit, flows very, very nicely. How it's going to work with these touring cars, though, is another thing entirely. The pit lane exit there off to your left, but through the final corner of the Schachen Anhalt curve. Excuse my German, because it's not very good. Foot to the floor as you run your way through the pit straight, a long run before you get in towards turn 1. Cross the timing line, and it's underway for Gary Craig. He's looking to impress, was quickest in the practice session. Can he carry that forward into this 3 lone lap qualifying through the left of turn number 1? Very fast and flowing if you can get it right. Then through the long sweeper, almost goes on forever, really tightens up as well through 2 and 3. Get your foot down, run the car to the exit, use the curb on the left-hand side. Quickly bring it back, though, because you're going back on yourself. It's all about the exit speed. It's all about shortening the run as well, so it's a fine balance. Bit of camber as well to use to help rotate these front-wheel drive touring cars. Really does help to get the front end in as well. Keep it to the right-hand side, though, because a slight uphill incline leads you then into the next left-hander. Very fast and trying to get the rear end out as much as he can. Gary Craig there, I think, just balancing his foot and balancing the weight distribution. Brake as soon as the car's in a straight line here as you really just try and run the car out wide. Double apex, get your foot down, similar to Luffield at Silverstone, really. Use the curb on the left-hand side, then through this fast sweeping section, through the right, then the left, then brake, because you've got this quite wide right-hander, but you don't want to be carrying too much speed through because you'll find that grass and then subsequently that tyre wall on the outside. Now the back straightaway running towards the Schelas. Shouldn't be a major braking zone in these cars, but the front end does dip down quite significantly for Gary Craig as he's got to keep it tight to the right to then bring it over to the left, because this then is quite an important run whereby if you get it wrong at the Schelas, you might actually have someone nipping up your inside into the penultimate corner. Then we round off the lap here with one final right-hand corner where it's all about the exit. Use the curb to help rotate the car, run the car out to the left-hand side, put your foot down, and once again climb up the rev range for a lap here at the Oschersleben GP circuit. What is the lap time? And it's pole position so far. We've only got 2 times in, but I'd say that looks quite reasonable considering no one else has beat it just yet.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. Thank you very much for that hot lap guide. Sounds like you've done a few laps around here before.
I have not.
No? Well, you know the track very well, as those times are starting to tumble down the order. Just a 3-lap qualifying, she'd mentioned. So, as a lone qualifying, so you only just have to worry about yourself and the track. See if I can pull up those names just so I can read them a little bit better. Otherwise, it'll take up too much space. So we'll hand out how you want to do that one.
Depends how long people's names are. There we go. I mean, if they've got 6-letter names, then it's fine. Apart from that, any longer, sorry, mate, we're just going to have to cut your name in half. It's fine, because we have lovely, lavish timing screens that we can look at and read their full names off. So we'll try and talk you through as best we can. Otherwise, you're going to get good old Ryan Duddle there in 16th place, and no one really wants that at all. And, well, yeah. The limitations of time and tower sometimes, but that's why you got to learn the abbreviations. No one really calls Verstappen Verth, now does he? Anyway, 5 minutes and 20 seconds left in qualifying. Everyone's starting their second lap, and I think as a general rule, Biggles, in any qualifying session, no matter what circuit you go to, really, when it comes to a qualifying where you've got 3 laps, ideally you want the first one as a sighter lap, find the limits, the second one push a bit more, and then the third one chuck it all at it, and that's where we're really going to start to see some quick times come in.
There it is, excellent. There, so Gary Craig goes a little bit quicker again, a 33.6, as we see Jonathan and as well as Russell making their hot laps in at the moment. So you got a spread, look at that. Oh, there's time starting to come in. You're getting down to still, look at a second almost. It is a second in the top 10. Fantastic, you'd have to say too, for some of those different classes, that's pretty impressive if you go to Derek here. Crowther. Getting in the AM class, mixing it up with the pro boys.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the thing with the splits in between the pros and the AMs. Sometimes the AMs do actually outperform their class on a good day and cause a bit of a headache for some of the pros sometimes. I think we saw it last week at Hockenheim where a couple of the AMs were getting involved and the pros maybe were a little bit frustrated with it, but hopefully it can all filter itself out. It is nice that we have got the split. It means that everyone's racing someone that they really should be, and you know, even if you're sort of mid-pack, you can still, in your respective class, still fight for maybe a top 5 or a podium even sometimes, maybe even get that odd win, rather than being a back marker of the overall field where it's just in one class. So I do like the pro and the AM split. It makes it competitive, makes it enjoyable for everyone. Here is Jono Johnson though. in the Audi RS3. He is trying to tip Gary Craig to pole position, a quarter of the second between them as well. We say that Craig goes even quicker, Cook goes even quicker as well, closes the gap. But it is still, actually, no, I say that, Jono Johnson, 39 thousandths of a second between him and the championship leader. I was about to say, Craig's running away with it. And then here comes our Thurtle putting in the pole time, right at the death of it as well, because Gary Craig, he's out of laps.
Absolute brilliant. He's getting very, very, very spicy at the sharp end of this, about 57 thousandths of a second, 97 thousandths of a second. Then you go almost a half a second gap down to Cook. So that's very, very tight. The top three currently at the moment. The qualifying session is coming to a close very soon too, as a couple of the drivers had to get their laps in. I think that's it for the top gun drivers for now. Just a few of the other drivers have just timed a little bit more perfectly to get, I guess, to get some nice camera time, isn't it? They fly those cars through, just flying it through currently at the moment. Jay Colorate, I think it is. I'm really going to butcher these names.
Jay Corley. I think that's probably one of the easier ones. I've had a Thomas Andriami Arisoa, and that was not fun on my first time commentating on him. So names are a bit difficult, particularly for us English-speaking commentators, because, yeah, we are not great when it comes to pronunciations. But I think Corley, that's all right. That's doable. Who, actually, to be fair, I do rate Corley quite significantly. I think he's a fantastic driver in terms of what we've seen so far and his pace. It's not often that you see him towards the back end of a field, so it is a little bit strange that he's down there in P19. Now makes it P11, but in a grid that close, I mean, what is that? A sec covering the top 17 drivers. There is not much in it at all.
This is going to be very fun. Heat 1 and an even more exciting Heat 2. So those drivers are just parking it now to be done. Sam, I think, is just crossing the line there. And then Paul, nope, he's finished that one up. Either that or he's not going to get the best of his time. Sitting there at the moment. BBC Racing for Paul. And that'll be it. If Paul's just going to bring it home.
Yeah, chilling towards, unfortunately, the back end of the Anfield. He's just ahead of P23 of Lewis, so that's not a shame, obviously, for Cugley. Or Cudgley. No, Cugley, I think, is probably the better way to go. You don't call it
Paul
Pudge,
Cuddley? Cuddley?
Cugley, yeah. Paul Cuddley, yeah. Something. There's a joke somewhere.
Yeah. The puns are coming, don't worry.
Yes, if we can find a way to wriggle them in, we will do our best. But yeah, here comes Paul Cugley. At some point, I will unironically call him Paul Cuddley, just because you have called him Paul Cuddley now. Anyway, across the line, let's see what he can do. Is it going to be an improvement? Unfortunately, it is not. So it will be the back row of the field. Actually, no, it'll be the second to back row, because Daniel Lewis will make up the rear end of it. Actually, speaking of, Chris Barnes and Fraser Geraghty still haven't set times, so they're not showing on the timing tower, though they will make up the rear end of the field. I think everyone bar Cugley have done their full 3 laps, and as soon as that timer ticks to 0, it will be the session over and done with. So in terms of what's tipped to be a good race, we've got the top 3 separated by less than a tenth of a second. I think we're in for a good 20-minute race.
That's just like it's almost the thick of the piece of paper. People have to remember too, well, these aren't quite Formula 1 cars, but a Formula 1 car travels a football pitch in 1 second. An average football pitch. So you can imagine, that's just counting the time, but you're looking at a second here between the top 10. I think it also will get the grid coming up in a second, and we'll actually talk about that one specifically once the grid comes up.
Yeah, well, I mean, a second, when you think about it, it's not that long of a time at all. Here is the grid, though, after their 3 lone lap qualifying. We'll scroll all the way to the top to see Arthur Thurtle in his true glory pole position, with championship leader Gary Craig joining him on row 1. Johnny Johnson, Dan Mould 3 and 4, with Jonathan Cook the top 5. Matt Elmore keeps him company on row 3, with Stephen Fry and Sam Smith accompanying each other hand in hand on that run towards turn number 1. Derek Crowther, the pole for the AM, starts 9th alongside Fraser Alexander for the top 10. Jay Corley misses out just in P11, with John Brown there in 12th. Beyond that, though, the 3/4 of a second that covers the top 12 is fantastic, and just in behind John Brown is Andrew Lovesey. I can confirm he's just in behind there. We'll scroll down as soon as we possibly can. Then it comes Lovesey, Dejoux, Lawney, Sedgley, Fowler. There it is. Craig Walters, Alan McCain, and Jessica Rakowski, the top 20, with Ryan Dudley and Paul Cugley, P21 and 2 respectively. Daniel Lewis, Fraser Geraghty, the top 12 rows, with Chris Barnes rounding off a very lonely 13th row there in P25. Moments away then from getting race 1 underway. 20 minutes on the clock, and then it's go, 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 I suppose, here in Oschersleben. What are we thinking in terms of the race itself? After that, or Gary Craig, Johnny Johnson, who's coming out on top?
Hopefully, yeah. There's Gary. Gary just had to load in currently at the moment. I was like, if Gary doesn't get on with it, that amazing P2 position. But anyway, over to you for the race start, race 1.
Here we go, 20 minutes on the clock. The SRL TCR Championship season number 6, round 2 in Oschersleben is underway. And a good start from Arthur Thurtle from pole position. Might see him keep it. However, Gary Craig gets a good second phase, trying to get the advantage as they run their way in towards turn 1 for the first time. Inside line for the championship leader as he tries to work his way through the blue Hyundai of Thurtle. Tries to hold the move to the outside, does exactly that, and catapults himself still through and holding that pole position. Side by side in the background is Dan Mould and Cook go side by side in the dispute for 4th. They run their way through turn 2, now into 3. No changes for the leads, however, a fight for the podium still on.
Absolutely. A couple of, looks like Ryan Dudley's had a little bit of a moment. Fraser, we'll get back to you on that one because we're focusing, of course, at the action. At the top of the timesheets, there's an overtake. I think there's Loves and Brown in the background. Just further back there, it does look like it's getting very spicy. Just around here, I think it was. There it is. I can see this. John Brown there. The SRL racing machine. Oh, that's right off. I was going to say, because he had to allow the space there as we were on board. I was just like, hey, you're right off the racing line right there. But of course, that's the reason why. There's another car there.
It does help, yeah. You kind of do have to give them space, otherwise you end up a little bit messy. Both you and your car, you might end up like a pancake on the road, and your car certainly is not going to be functioning. It might run as well as a pancake does. Matt Elmore in 6th, stationary, no movements for the entirety of the top 8. You have to go all the way down to 9th with obviously Fraser Alexander and Derek Crowther swapping for P9 and P10 respectively. And, well, apart from that, there's not really been many changes. Gary Craig is still supplying some pressure to Arthur Thurtle, but we round off lap number 1. It's in the books, and, well, you called the top 8 from qualifying, and it's the top 8 now still in race number 1. No changes still, but I'm sure that's going to be subject to changes. Well, off in the background there goes one of the Audis.
Yeah, a little bit of off-track excursion. You're allowed a few of them, but not too many, otherwise you get a stop-go penalty. This is a fun sector, of course. It's just all turns. You got a tiny little straightaway coming up now, and then you're all over it again for a nice hairpin turn. You get a great exit out of there, don't you? So that you can hook it up for the next little mini straight. Further back, there's a little action here. This is you battling out for your E20 position. Still no change there.
Unfortunately, not really been many movements. I mean, the biggest gainers that we've got is Lewis down in P20 with +3. And apart from that, we've not really seen much. Only really big losers. So. Yeah, at the moment, I mean, the gaps aren't necessarily big, but I think it is more going to come down to mistakes more than anything. I don't know overtaking is particularly in abundance here. However, this could spark something. Johnny Johnson with a bit of a mistake, and Dan Mould is looking to capitalise on it. The reigning champion looking to start his charge here in round number 2. No movement into the chicane. Still able to hang on. Johnny Johnson, I think, got a lucky escape with that one.
Absolutely. But there's a possible attack. Attack, never lift. Just hit the gas pedal. What brake? Remove the brake pedal. You don't need it. And then again, if you don't lift and brake, I'm not sure you're going to slow the car down.
Yeah, well, yeah, the brake is kind of important because, yeah, you don't really go flat out through everywhere. Unfortunately, as fun as it would be, you kind of do need it. Oh, Dan Mould perilously close, too wide on the brakes, and looking to move his way to the inside there is Cook, but he's not able really to find a way through. It's just that thing of, again, someone makes a mistake, you try and capitalise on it, but they've not made a big enough of a mistake for you to properly get in front. So it is a little bit wishy-washy, and I think it is either going to take a mistake or a bit of battling to really spark this massive chain reaction of cars that could come about of just one small bit of action like this one. John Brown versus Sedgley, side by side between the pair of them. The very colourful car, that is Jack Sedgley. The black and green SRL liveried Audi RS3 behind is John Brown. He falls victim to Sedgley, moves his way up now 3 places into P13.
Good drive and good overtake. textbook 101, getting the job done. But could be under attack there from John soon. But I'd have to say, can't miss that car. Cream-coloured car, I'd like to call it. Further up here, Matt. Starting to slowly creep in to this pack, really. You got a 1 second, 1.1, so the top two are starting to drop. Mr. Jono Johnson in P3. Then behind Jono Johnson is this, the Jono Johnson train.
So we'll aboard the Johnson Express, I think, because Thurtle and Craig are running away with things, really. I think a couple of mistakes from Johnson has really backed up the rest of the pack. As look at how close the top two are, separated by 14 thousandths of a second on that previous lap. Nothing in it whatsoever. No changes into turn number 1, as they're all Constantine are up behind Johnson, who, as I say, is falling victim, I think, to the top two, getting out of that slipstream range. They're visually not that far away, but in terms of a slipstream effect, there's not really much at all. We'll take a look as to the initial start. This is Craig Walters off the line, getting the revs up to about 2.9, holding it still first gear. Underway. Don't want too much wheel spin, really, because the front tyres are doing so much. So if you get too much, the front end lifts up, the tyres then lift up, you get less traction, and it's not pretty. 3 wide down in towards turn number 1 here at the backside. I think that is how Sedgley was able to capitalise and move his way up a few places. But that is just carnage and chaos, and not really something that I'd like to deal with. On board with Dudley.
Dudley has a moment here. Maybe somebody comes. There it is. There's the tap. And unfortunately, Ryan takes a couple of victims with him. Nowhere to go. And gets the leads back on track. Do have one fast repaired. See him when he get into the pit road. Back to the live action. And here we go. Considering live action right there.
Oh, he's off. Oh, my word. That is
Jonathan.
cooked. Yeah. Off,
Oh,
wide.
somebody
Oh,
else
still
as well.
spinning. Who's that? That's Matt Elmore, I think, having a spin. No. Yeah, I think it is. I think it's Matt Elmore who's had a spin. He rejoins Jonathan Cook side by side with Jay Corley, who's up a few places. This is what I was talking about, a short fuse and a small spark, and boom, we've got this chain reaction sparking. One small mistake from Jonathan Cook has had disastrous consequences and has really bunched up the field. Now side by side is Daniel Sedgley is trying to move his way alongside Jay Corley outside through turn number 1 and 2. That's going to be very, very difficult, but if he's got the overspeed, it might well work. No, it doesn't, as Cook and Corley are able to keep their positions just in front of Sedgley despite the drama, despite the chaos. And wow, I hope we can take another look at that, because that was a lot to digest in the span of 5 seconds.
It was Matt. Now, Matt's probably had to react to this. Let's have a look.
Oh, wow, he's
no,
just been
they're
completely
tapped.
taken out.
Yep.
So, and then he rejoins. He's got no control at this point over the sausage curb. Thankfully, he's actually not taken anyone else out, despite how close it would be.
He was behind.
This is Matt Elmore. I don't really know. Yeah, I don't really know what to make of that. Maybe Matt Elmore could have given more space. Yeah, it's a weird one, but mistakes happen at the end of the day, and it is a tricky circuit. And with cars as close as this, if someone makes one mistake, chances are it is going to be a consequence suffered by many others. As we approach halfway through this race, 12.5 minutes left to go, and John Brown is trying to recover. Still only 2 places lost on his initial starting places. There goes Sedgley to the inside of Corley, moving his way up inside the top 10, the biggest gainer of the bunch, up 6 places, and now inside the top 10. Good stuff, Jay Corley.
Good job. Fantastic, because he wants to get out of this pack that's happening right here. The Hungary pack hovering around your P10 plus positions, as you can see on your timing table there. They're all separated by under a second. Looking to seize overtaking opportunities. Craig put the fastest lap in P2, so very, very soon he's going to be definitely on the bumper. Well, he has been on the bumper there of Arthur Total.
Oh, the counter-attack there.
Somebody's gone off.
Corley, he's looking side by side with Sedgley. This is now for P9. That's actually Andrew Lovesey that's moved his way ahead. Jay Corley just in behind as well. So it's a 3-car fight here, all sparking itself. Lovesey leads from Elmore now to the outside of Corley through turn number 2. So many cars, so many names. It's so easy to get mixed up with things. You've got to memorize all the liveries and at least try and have an attempt at it. So we do apologize if there is any mix-ups, because I'm sure there has been plenty already, and I'm sure there'll be plenty more. We'll do our best, though, to keep up with all of the action.
This happened just before this overtake here. This is when Jonathan's gone cooked it, and we just caught the end of that, and that's a heavy impact.
I like that one. Jonathan Cook has cooked it. Nice one.
Did I say that? I didn't even realise that.
He did. He didn't even mean to do it. It makes it even better. It's just natural. Yeah, Jonathan Cook, I don't think having the best couple of runs in the nicest way possible. He tumbles the way back to P23 and will not finish this race. Back up to Dan Mould, the reigning champ. Not really much of a dent made to John Johnson because he's got Sam Smith all over his rear bumper into the penultimate corner through the right. Dan Mould got a very, very good broadcasting company's logo on his rear right panel, just next to his rear tail light. Love that. Nice little microphone there, supporting the brand, I suppose. But Dan Mould under a bit of pressure, and it's not been the best of starts, really.
I do apologize. Yeah, I'd have to say sorry. Yeah, I do have to apologize about that because we should be restreaming this on both channels, but I had a technical issue with that, so we will get that up, obviously, on their broadcasting network as well after the race. But otherwise, it would be too choppy for me to broadcast this, and we want to see these cars skipping frames tooth and nail, so we'll definitely get. We got the live action here currently at the moment. Once again, it'll be uploaded to the SRL channel in the future for drivers and everybody to watch it back. So Jessica's had a little bit of a moment here, unfortunately. All alone on the track too. What do you think just happened? Just a little twirly-whirly there and
into the
pit road.
Wow.
Okay. Might have been something that happened earlier.
Oh, and a touch of the grass for good measure as well. My best guess is, unfortunately, they've gone into the penultimate corner. They've taken one stab and it turned back in again, taking several goes at the steering wheel. That's unsettled the car for a start, and then obviously touching the grass is not great. Dan Mould, though, tumbling down the order, maybe a slowdown, but he's relinquished 2 places to Smith and Fry. Not entirely sure as to why that is the case for Mould. My best guess is he's probably gotten a slowdown at some point around this.
For sure. You wouldn't allow 2 cars through like that, especially the way they've been battling. That easy.
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't, and I know Dan Mould wouldn't. He's too competitive for that. Maybe he's trying to play with his food. I don't know what's going on. Another fast lap, though, for Gary Craig, a 33.53 on his pursuit for the race lead. But the thing is that overtaking seems to be rather difficult around this circuit. There is Gary Craig. He's looking so close to the rear end of Arthur Thurtle, but he can't quite make that advancement, that final step to get himself ahead.
Time is ticking, so maybe seizing it up, maybe taking care of the car a little bit better, and also sizing up your opponent. He's had an opportunity to watch Arthur do 8 laps around this track, so probably knows exactly where Arthur's making a mistake, if Arthur's making a mistake, and you've got to capitalize it if you're Gary Craig, that we're riding on Bullbiff right now. Dan, the man is in the chat there. G'day, Dan. What have you missed? Well, great action. Just a few little moments. A couple of cars have retired the session at the moment. Cook's in the pit road. We saw Cook's heavy impact into the wall before. But your big positions gainers and losers, you can see there on the right-hand side. Smith's not doing a pretty good job, but they're up into P4. 4 positions gained.
Daniel Sedgley, the big gainer, up 7 from his initial starting place. So the pace is there, and he might actually be looking for more. However, all eyes really have been put on Dan Mould with a fantastic run here relative to Stephen Fry. Look at that. That's why I said in qualifying the exit, even on that short run, is so important. Through the penultimate corner, they continue to go side by side. Now looking to the long way round in the final corner is Stephen Fry. He puts his foot down first. Is it enough in that drag race through the pit straight? Dan Mould able to etch himself ahead and back into 5th place, fighting for top 5. But look at the slipstream effect. Look at how much Stephen Fry is closing. But it's not a heavy enough braking zone into the 90-degree left-hander of turn number 1 into 2. There's not really much more that you can do. So Dan Mould up now to 5th place. There were quite a mountain to climb if he wants to make it any higher.
There ain't no mountain high enough to climb. And no valley low enough too. That's another song I wanted to sing. See whether or not Mr. Matt Elmore can try to make this positions back up that he's lost from the start of the race. 6 positions down, as you can currently see. Get back up there. May obviously help him a little bit when it comes to the reverse grid race. Coming up after this one. Still back to the action. You saw Craig got really, really close. He got down to almost under a 10th just before, and then Arthur's opened up the gas pedal a little bit more and continued that lead further back. Is Jay. He's got a license plate on the back of that car too. Have you noticed that? He's the only one.
Nice. Well, at least he's road legal, I suppose.
Yes, you can see the license plate. Nobody else has ripped the plates off.
Yeah, well, let's hope they're not whipping it down at the T-front or something
That's
like that.
that's gonna cost a little bit of time here under massive pressure. Can he hold it back on there? Matt's putting the pressure down now. A little off-track excursion like that can punish you around here, especially when you've got a gaggle of cars still behind you. Now, opportunity here for Craig. No, has to tuck in behind. Oh, looks like Arthur there has got the casino chip on the side, so he's obviously rolling all the... gambling all the right numbers at the moment. Certainly gambling on a 74 number.
You can't even go up to 74 on a roulette board. So, yeah, I don't know. Who knows?
What's the last time you've been in a casino, my friend? I don't think you're allowed in one, eh?
On GTA.
Oh, GTA, that's right too. Yeah, I love that, casino and GTA. Yeah, you can win cars too.
You can. I've won it a couple of times. Fantastic stuff. Got myself a little rally car. Love it.
Nice.
We should do some GTA racing here on JPB.
Yeah, of course.
Good fun, yeah.
Give us a shout out there if you guys agree with that one day. So just something a little bit different, spice it up. And hit the likes and subscribe. And of course, Phil's out there, and Abs and Dan and Tonics, Sprinks. Probably some of the drivers having a bit of a yarn to us just before they jumped in these cars. Well, look at that time. It's slowly going down. 4 minutes and change to go. And Craig is probably well aware of that, and so is Arthur. They got a 2-second gap now. Once again, this has just been a 2-horse race between these gladiators. I see Jono Johnson in the background goes a little wide out of the corner, but he's thankfully got a little bit of a gap too, as you can see. Down the main straightaway there now. Gaggle of cars. But further back, I want to see this action. Still been growing up. Yeah, and this is JB. We haven't had a chance to put on JB's car this evening, but there's JB. In the lucky for some, or unlucky for other, 13th place. And speaking of which, here's Daniel.
Yes, indeed. Look at him go.
Oh, around the outside too. That's bold and brave, but the man's got 8 positions gained, so, well, you're doing something right. Still committing to this, isn't he? And now around the outside again to there, Zach. But unfortunately, going to scrub too much speed off. But gets great exit.
Bit of a tap to the rear end. Daniel Sedgley up 8, trying to make it 9. But Fraser Alexander is putting up a phenomenal fight. Through the right, then the left. Fast-paced chicane, as is most of the corners here. Brilliant fun to drive and hot lap and doing qualifying, but not really fun when you're trying to find your way past another car. It's all about momentum, it's all about speed, it's all about commitment. Unfortunately, there's not really many places where you're committed on the brakes. Sedgley, incredibly close. He's proven all those facts wrong, though. He knows how to negotiate some overtakes here in Oschersleben. Unfortunately, though, moves into the penultimate corner as they dip their way downhill. As we approach the final stages of this race, and Alexander is wide. It's not wide enough to invite Sedgley through, though that move is coming shortly.
You think so, don't you? Just think so much more pace there. Fastest lap was just set by Smith at P4. That's not going to do too much in 2 minutes and change. And here we go. Zach, this is what you kind of predicted. Gonna hold. No, couldn't quite just get it deep enough and to hold the inside line as you have to sweep through the S's. Certainly applying the pressure. And, you know, Fraser's got to be feeling the pressure right now in that Tiger-esque livery.
Outside line.
Oh,
he's
that's
committed, and he's gone for a bit of a slide.
Yeah.
He's drifting around through. Another tap from Alexander, and Daniel Sedgley's progress has come to a halt. He loses 2 places and makes up the fringes of the top 10. Lovesy and Crowther both move their way through, but a clumsy mistake there from Alexander sees him wash out wide and tap the end, and the tyres are warm, and you might see him make yet another mistake. Daniel Sedgley, though, we'll take another look at it. This is on that run into the long left-hander, just off the back of turn number 2.
Ooh.
Bit of net code initially to send the rear end sideways, and then Fraser Alexander. Ooh. Oh my word, threading the needle there from Lovesy and Crowther. I will say, the initial contact was neither of their faults. The second one from Alexander, though, he just understeered too wide, tapped him, and unfortunately that was it. However, starting the final lap now, Arthur Thurtle, Gary Craig, this is it.
It's also, but that's also the risk, isn't it, of going around the outside of a driver. Because you've got a lot of faith that they're going to slide out, lose a little bit of speed going in there, and they slide into your car. Of course, it's got to go for it. He's always got to risk it for the biscuit, but that is the risk that you take when you do drive around the outside of a driver. If you clearly have the speed and you've got full trust that they're going to be on the racing line and not sliding into you. This is a final opportunity, as you said, right now. And now he's setting the dummy. Arthur's hooked up on that one. Says, not on my watch. Just yet, my friend, you got to try a little bit harder if you want to get past me. Trust me, Craig has been trying hard, hasn't he?
Yeah, just a little bit. He's been pushing the limits. Unfortunately, the limits might be a little bit unreachable for him because Thurtle has put up a mighty defence, though Gary Craig still will be gaining some good points in the championship. Arthur Thurtle will want to put his best foot forward. They've got about half a lap left to go now, and Gary Craig is searching for any late opportunity to find his way through. Is there going to be any late spark? Could there be any changes? Arthur Thurtle surely has got this one in the bag if he makes no mistakes like he has done for the last 20 minutes. The timer ticks 0, and it is the final lap of the race through the final chicane for the final time. 2 more corners left to go, and unless Thurtle completely bottles these final 2 corners, it is going to be his to win the first round here in Oschersleben, the first of 2 races, round number 2 of the SRL TCR Championship, Season 6, and race number 1, as Arthur Thurtle puts his foot down to the floor, climbs up the rev range, flash of the lights as Barney the flagman waves the checkered flag. Arthur Thurtle sees it first, victorious, followed by Gary Craig, less than half a second back, with John Johnson rounding off the top 3. Sam Smith 4th and Dan Mould the top 5. A very close fight, unfortunately. There's running close, and then there's overtaking. 2 very separate things entirely. But Arthur Thurtle, a good win here in Oschersleben, good for his championship.
Absolutely. Great racing, as Barney's still going to be waving his flag for a few more of those drivers at 20-odd seconds and change down the road. A couple of retirements on our first race. I think Cook's retired as well, to essentially in the pit road. That didn't show as a retirement. Any other major surprises, would you say, Zach, in this event? We'll wrap it up. First race.
I'd say Dan Mould. I obviously P5 is not bad at all, and that slowdown would have maybe seen him P4, but yeah, I don't know. It seems that Mould has got a bit more of a fight on his hands this season. Last season, obviously there was a battle with Thurtle and Smith, who were his closest rivals at the back end of season 5. But yeah, it's been a tough start, I think, for Mould. We'll run you through the first set of results, and then we'll flip the top 15 on their head and go again. Arthur Thurtle victorious, with Gary Craig and John Johnson keeping him for company on step 2 and 3 of the podium. Smith and Mould, your top 5, with Stephen Fry missing out in P6. Fraser Alexander, Derek Crowther, your victor for the AMS in 8th overall. Andrew Lovesey, Jay Corley, the top 10. Then comes Sedgley and Dejoux, with Matt Elmore, Russell Fowler, the AM podium. Then comes Craig Walters, John Brown, and Cavaney Delaunay, the top 17. Beyond that, you've then got Paul Cugley, Ryan Dudley, Alan McCain, your top 20, Jessica Rakowski, Daniel Lewis, Jonathan Cook, Fraser Garrity, and Craig Walters all the way at the back of the field. That rounds up race number 1. And as I say, yeah, it's looking to be a very close one. However, quite a strong difficulty in overtaking.
It was. It certainly was. So if you're going to pounce on that overtaken opportunity, you're going to have to do it very, very quickly. Well, very wisely more than anything. Quick, of course, yes, you have to be quick. If you're not quick, you're not getting overtakes done. Warm-up session for 3 minutes, just under the 4 minutes and change. So if anybody want to get up, then get your popcorn, of course, and we'll also have a bit of a yarn. I'm just going to quickly grab a drink too, Zach. If you'd like to have a yarn to everybody in the chat this evening. Hopefully still have Zach with us. Welcome, everybody. Hello to Tom. Just an average sim race evening, or maybe I think you may be talking yourself down a little bit. You could be just a brilliant sim racing driver, as most sim racing drivers have got some fantastic skills. Go performance link from Andrew. Are you there, Zach? I can't quite hear Zach properly.
No, I am.
Oh, yeah. Okay, good. Sorry. I didn't know if you're
No,
here.
we are
or-
all good. Just
my-
making sure that everyone's working properly.
Yeah, all my jungle internet's breaking on me or something like that. I had an earthquake the other day, 6.6. So the chair was rocking when I was casting. Actually, when I wasn't casting it. But anyway. Yeah, I'm not too worried about a little earthquake. I'm just more worried about if this volcano erupts, then it'll be the last time you hear from me. But then again, Zach, I have about a 1 in 100 million chance that that'll happen.
Yeah, there's quite a low chance. It either makes you very lucky or very unlucky to have it happen. Probably very unlucky, I think. Then again, that was that person that was struck 7 times over the course of their life.
Really?
So there have been, apparently there was someone, I can't quite remember their name, and they got struck by lightning 7 times.
Well, they're playing golf during thunderstorms all the time. I mean, they probably increase your odds
know.
of getting struck by lightning. That's one for the chat. Has anybody ever been struck by lightning before? I was close one day, and during the rainy season here, it was thundering, and then actually, I had my umbrella, and of course, because it was pouring down rain, I was walking to the shop, and then the lightning hit a tree right next to me. Tree exploded, as it does when the lightning hits. Scared the out of me, but luckily I actually put as you do, defensively, I put the umbrella to cover myself, and it did, because bits of shrapnel out of the tree shattered through the umbrella. So I was probably very lucky that didn't hit me, because that does happen quite a bit actually. You get injuries from exploding trees and stuff. We're still in the remainder of the warm-up session at the moment, so the drivers get their little bit of a bathroom break there, can grab that popcorn. And James is having some fun at the moment. Hopefully James is enjoying himself on his holiday vacation in Spain. I hope everyone else is having a great time. Today for your Friday racing entertainment, because we have a weekend, don't we? Action-packed here on the JP Broadcasting Network of many racing. Some of the casting that you're doing soon. There, Zach?
Well, the casting with JPB, yeah, there's plenty.
Yeah.
Loads going on. I mean, we've got the Platinum Endurance Championship tomorrow for the 10 hours of Sebring. We've got myself, Ewan, Dan Paples, Michael Safadi, yourself, I think, as well. I don't know if James will be joining us on his first day back from holiday, jumping straight back into things. And then obviously we've got the sim racing for simpletons. Touch wood, nothing bad happens this week.
Yeah.
For some Formula 3 action once more. Brilliant stuff in those Saturday nights, and then obviously going into Sunday, we've got more Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, blah blah blah. There's a lot on JPB, so make sure you're sticking around. Race number 2 though for the SRL TCR Championship Season 6 is about to get yourself underway. Craig Walters, Russell Fowler, the front row with Matt Elmore and JB DeJoux, row 2. Daniel Sedgley, after a unfortunate end to race 1, rounds off the top 5 with Jay Corley company on row 3. Andrew Lovesey, Derek Crowther, 7th and 8th with Fraser Alexander. Alexander has Stephen Fry hand in hand on that run towards turn number 1. Dan Mould, Sam Smith, the 6th row. And beyond that, we've then got Jono Johnson, Gary Craig, 2nd place in race 1 for the championship leader. After, although it rounds off the top 15 reverse grid. John Brown, Cavani Delaunay, Paul Cugley, the 9th row. Ryan Dudley and Alan McCain, the top 20. With Jessica Rakovsky, Daniel Lewis, Jonathan Cook, and Fraser Garrity, the 24-car strong field that we've got. Race number 2, the reverse grid race, about to get itself underway. And, well, what have we got to expect?
More fun, more action, and definitely because your dress rehearsal's over, and it's time for race 2. Over to you, Zach.
Here we go. 5 red lights are on. Race 2 is underway. And Walter gets a decent start from pole position. He's looking to defend that into turn number 1. However, Elmore has got an even better run. Look at that poor start, though. Walter is tumbling. He's botched down 3 wide on that run in towards turn number 1. Elmore leads from Fowler DeJoux. Walter, Sedgley and Corley disputing over what is going to be 5th place as they run their way through turn number 2. The long sweeping Shanghai turn 1 and 2 type vibes that we're getting. But out of turn number 2, and it's Matt Elmore that leads.
Absolutely fantastic, isn't it? You can see those position gainers. So yeah, get bogged down on that one, isn't it? Just engaging clutch a little bit too much, the rear end slips, and then all of a sudden you're just a passenger watching all these cars zip on by. They are definitely getting a lot more aggressive, and who's that? Fraser testing the suspension out on that car. Here's Daniel and Craig. The 0007 machine, the 007, come Mr. Bond. Craig is well aware of that.
his name's Craig as well, which obviously Daniel Craig was the Bond actor's one, so there we go. Good. The more you know in that stuff. 007 up there in 5th place. Not going to go down Sedgley. Quite a more packed start for the reverse grid than we saw in race number 1 because people are mismatched, not really where they would expect to be. Matt Elmore though versus Russell Fowler. JB Dejoux just in behind, and the train begins, I think, for the next 20 minutes. I think for Elmore, it's going to be a case of not messing up because the track does most of the defending for you around it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, isn't it? We saw that before, how difficult it is to get on the power there, and if you just park the car in the right place, then you force your opponent to go around the hard way, and we saw that before with some of the drivers going around the hard way, around the outside, of course, and getting into a little bit of tango. Takes 2 to tango, as they say. 3 or so to do the waltz. Oh, that just went all pearl-shaped on that one, because there's overtakes occurring. There you go. Oh, who's off in the background?
Who's that? That is McCain. Alan McCain started 20th in this race and finds himself in P23. Argy Bargy there. Andrew Lovesey getting his elbows out. And that's going to be Gary Craig losing the place potentially to Jono Johnson. It depends who, again, can get to full throttle first. Side by side now on that run in towards the left-hander. The advantage surely is going to go the way of Gary Craig, who was up 4 places already. Side by side, though, is Sedgley, Walter and Corley. Dispute over 4th. And this has already proven to be quite the action-packed race here on lap 2.
I love it. I love it. Nothing like some touring car action for you. Different manufacturers. I don't really see a massive advantage, of course, in the different manufacturers between. Just it's just whatever tickles your fancy, doesn't it, in the car that you like to drive. And there's no real. You don't see like the whole timing tail dominated by one manufacturer. So no, there's not going to be a Red Bull out there dominating everything.
That's true. That's what we like to see, is non-domination. Instead, we've got Hyundai, Honda, Hyundai, Audi, Audi, Honda. So yeah, nice versatile mix as Sedgley looks to the inside as Dejoux. Outside line for the person in 2nd place in the AMS. Now a straight drag fight, and still Argy Bargy still right hand down through a straight. That's dirty, and he's turning round.
Yeah.
Oh my word, how have you managed that? JB Dejoux, that is absolutely disgraceful. I do not know what's caused that. Daniel Sedgley now out of this race. I'm sure he's going to have a good old slap on the wrist from the stewards tonight. I'll be honest, I don't understand how you can manage that. It looked, I don't want to say anything too soon and too swiftly, but there's absolutely no way that you right hand down someone.
Just want to have a look if we got the replay of that. No, that's a little bit further back up to see this. So it's
on board maybe with Dejoux might give us a better picture.
Dejoux,
I think.
Look there. I'll just get back to one. Is it? No, this is further back anyway. That's a little tricky. We have to go back to live action, of course. So there's more motor racing going. Yeah, that was. You can see the argy bargy down the. I don't see the point of why they were doing that, because you're not turning. You're going down straight. That's maybe some bad beef in the past between those two drivers, and that's just resulted in poor sportsmanship, you'd have to say.
100%. Again, we don't want to say anything too quickly because we're commentators, not stewards. Fortunately, I do not want to be a steward. It is one of those jobs that I absolutely despised, would despise doing. I've only ever done it for amateur F1 leagues, and let me tell you, people were not happy even at that level, let alone levels as high as this and even beyond. Arthur Thurtle up now to 9th place, the race 1 winner, making some steady progress. However, Gary Craig is a couple of places ahead. He's going to be wanting maybe to carve his way even more forward in the sense of extending his championship lead. Was able to carve his way through a Hockenheim. It's going to be a little bit more tricky here in Oschersleben as Matt Elmore and Russell Fowler continue to lead 1 and 2. Fastest lap of the race though for the AM leader.
Yeah, exactly. You can see that down there. P14. Actually, P14. Dave Mould just got that one, sorry. Dan Mould. Just got the fastest lap then. I should have just said that. Here we go. You still have Matt Elmore leading this one from Russell. Flora? F-O-W.
F-O-W-L-E-R.
Fowler.
Fowler, there we go.
Sorry.
You got there in the end. We got there in the end. It's fine, English. It's fine.
Yeah. Here's Jono Johnson. Sam Smith. And we all know the blue machine of Arthur. Previous race winner.
Oh, he's held it.
Is that?
He's kept it going. Sam Smith. Oof, well, He's put his foot down. He finds himself side by side with John Brown. More contact through the chicane. He rejoins. Oh my word, nearly straight into the side of the Audi RS3. John Brown able to continue on. No harm, no foul in that regard. However, elbows out here for race 2.
Unbelievable. As this Gagler car's at the back here. Well, they're side by side at that point. The cameraman. I am the cameraman. I should be doing a better job. It's like Martin Brundle back in the day. If we get the camera switched on, please, Mr. Director, as he used to say in Formula 1. Well, I am the director, so I should be able to do that. We just have to tell the drivers, mate, to choreograph the overtakes next time so we can make sure the camera's pointing them at the right time.
Which is fine when we're doing replay races, because they can tell us when they made the overtakes. Either way, Jonathan Cook has got Dan Mould for company. Really poor start to this race, this season for the reigning champion. Makes quick work of Cook and up now to 13th place. Gagler cars in front. Fortunately for Mould, everyone's nice and close together. However, unfortunately for Mould, everyone is very difficult to overtake around a circuit like this. Jonathan Cook just in behind, gives the place up, and I think that was quite a good decision from Cook. I don't think he's quite got the pace relative to Mould, and it might be good for him to use Mould as a bit of a battering ram to carve his way through the field, as this might well be the start of it, as Ryan Dudley has got a bit of a poor round just in behind. He's about 4.5 seconds back. This is John Brown to the outside now, and that is exactly what Cook was banging on, in the sense that Dan Mould is quicker, he's going to carve his way through, and I'm going to follow him through.
Yeah, absolutely. But he's in the sandwich right now with teammates. I think that if they were trying to work together before there to try to keep him behind, it didn't quite pan out. That's also very difficult. You do see drivers doing that. It's fantastic if you can hook it up right, because it makes it very difficult to overtake 2 cars side by side. But that also risks that they're straight, like they're approaching to the apexes and etc. Going off the racing line. Of course, it doesn't look like it's a very kind place to go off the racing line here, as we've seen in the past. It just grabbed way too much speed. Doesn't have the givey. You call, the off track like you see some of them. But what you are going to see on your screens right now is the battle for P6, P5.
Yeah, P5 at the moment. That's what they're side by side for. Stephen Fry goes to the outside of Andrew Lovesey, throws it back to the inside of 2, gets given the space though, as Lovesey is incredibly wide, touches the grass, and around he goes. Oh, don't stop there. Actually, no, do stop there. Stay there. There's space on the inside. Reverse back, 3-point turn, and away you go. Wait for people to clear. Very mature there from Lovesey, as frustrating as it would be to see all those places lost. It was the best thing possible. Stephen Fry picks his way up now into the top 5. Gary Craig in behind, making swift work of everyone in front.
Very lucky. Yeah, you don't let it see drivers on the racing lines. Keep people coming around the corner flat out. Then all of a sudden you see you get a T-bone a car. But yeah, it's just lucky. Of course, there is an element to luck in motor racing. Still had to be quick. It's always say to drivers, sometimes drivers that are always involved in incidents, and like, I don't know what it is, but I'm always involved in incidents. And I'm like, well, the easiest solution to that, my friend, is put your car on pole and just drive away from the rest of everybody else. And you won't have that problem in the future.
Simple as. Simple as Gary Craig. Swift work is Stephen Fry. P5 now for the championship leader, and this is what really crafts a champion. It's all good, as you say, qualifying well and being quick out in front, but it's another thing when when the results are flipped on the head and you start further down and you've got to ascend your way back through. That's the sort of consistency that we see from Gary Craig, a driver like Gary Craig, and that is a tribute to as to why he did so well at Hockenheim and as to why he's doing so well here in Oschersleben. 2nd place in race 1. It's not quite a win, but it's 2nd place. It will do. It's a high place up. And then you start towards the back end for race 2, and now he's driving his way through bit by bit, and he's not waiting around at all. And it's going to be that consistent result over the course of race 1 and 2 that are going to see him score on a regular basis. It's not just a case of winning in race 1 and finishing P15 in race 2. It's 2nd in race 1, P5, maybe even more for race 2.
Yeah, you're right. That's the reason why we do love those reverse grids, of course. Otherwise, you may just very well see the same drivers over and over again finishing up the top. And you add a little spice, of course. You flip the things upside down, as you say, and then you start to see the real skills, don't you, of drivers when they have to do their overtakes. I kind of wish like Formula 1 would do that at some points, isn't it? Could you imagine? But Max Verstappen probably could still slice his way through a field, and he has done before. But it goes to show you so much more racing entertainment, isn't it? When they do have to do that. We all love it. Of course, they do get entangles with other cars that are around them, but it's consistency. I think that's the key word you mentioned there. Consistency. How well are you doing consistently overtaking? You'd have to say I don't like using the word slow drivers because his drivers are super quick out there.
Slower.
There you go. Good boy.
Yeah,
on that one.
Oh, that's sketchy from...
Yeah.
Actually, no, that's Delaunay, I should say. The deux names are also quite prevalent, and you get used to saying one and not the other. But Sam Smith now able to pick his way ahead of Keveni Delaunay, and now into P9. Moving forward, the gap up to Jono Johnson for 8th. So this might well be the threshold as we tick over into the second half of this race. 8.5 minutes left to go. And that fight for 4th, this fight for 8th, the fight's all the way up through the field. Definitely do not like that slowing
That's
down
a send.
anytime soon. As Gary Craig looking to the outside of turn 3. Look at that. Bit too far round, but he's putting some pressure on, and that's better than nothing.
And we've seen this before too, haven't we, in the past? Has to go a little bit wide here, under massive pressure there from Stephen Fry now, just behind. And you've got to remember, Arthur's just lurking in the background. So, yeah, you got to, that's his point, isn't it? If you are Gary Craig, you're like, I've got to get past this car soon. Otherwise, I've got these very quick drivers approaching me at a rapid pace. But Fraser Alexander's not going to make it easy, as he has denied the drivers before in the past, remember, in the previous round. Look at the rear wing at the moment there of Mr. Fraser Alexander. As he's got to just focus. He's lucky he's got no close car up the road there, so he's just got to focus on his own racing line there. What do? There, Zachary, do you try to park it a little bit? Do you go off the racing line and be a little bit more defensive, or just continue to be as quick as you possibly can?
It depends how much pressure they're putting on. Obviously, if he's breathing down your gearbox and the next corner is a viable overtaking opportunity, then absolutely go to the defensive line. But if you're in a situation like this where you've got some breathing space, there's no point defending thin air. Realistically, he's not going to be able to go for a move. So try and give yourself that breathing space. Go as quickly as you can, rather than putting yourself under more strain, under more pressure. But yeah, it is a skill in itself, deciding when and when not to defend, when and when you can get away with it, versus when they are just going to go for an almighty send. Because Stephen Fry, he's realistically in Gary Craig's position. Gary Craig doesn't really need to worry about Fry at the moment because he's far enough back that a send wouldn't be viable. So he can focus on being as quick as possible and getting a move done on Fraser Alexander. So yeah, it is just that chop and change as Jay Corley and Russell Fowler go side by side. Maybe the up and under from the Honda Civic through the very long sweeping triple left-hander now into the swoop back through the right.
It was an overtake, actually. Could
Jay
replay
Corley
that.
finds his way through.
Here it is.
That's a send and a half.
Yeah,
wow,
it
okay,
is.
fair play. Through one of the quickest corners on the circuit, and Jay Corley just kept his car to the left-hand side, knowing that Russell Fowler would go wide to cut in. And Corley just said, cool, you're out wide, my car's now on the inside, give me space. And brilliant stuff. Fantastic move, I think. Not too hard fought from Fowler, but a good move nonetheless from Jay Corley, who moves his way up into second place. Gary Craig, though, in the final 5 minutes, might move his way up into P4, maybe even onto a podium. Only a second between this train and Russell Fowler.
Are they starting to catch?
Oh, the send! Oh. Gary Craig to the inside of Fraser Alexander. Cut you off there, but that was an almighty unexpected from the championship leader. Now a drag fight through the pit straight towards turn number 1. The outside line never really has been viable, but he might have the measure if he can get his nose ahead. Fraser Alexander going to defend hard, does exactly that. Bit of a twitch over the sausage curbs, cuts his way over. Is it a touch on the grass? No, it's not. Gary Craig hangs on as Stephen Fry chucks the move to the inside.
Yeah, that's what happens, isn't it? When you got to risk it fully, because you get caught out like that, and then all of a sudden you can drop a couple of places, but still hanging in there. There's your little argy-bargy on the outside there. Always risking, definitely under pressure there, because this Arthur now. Arthur Turtle is going to try to do it. Sorry, I keep calling him Turtle. He's not a turtle. He's certainly quick. It's the opposite of a turtle. He's going to murder me later on.
He's a quick turtle. He's a fast turtle. He's a speedy turtle.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Arthur Turtle. I mean, if you are French and don't pronounce your H's, then maybe he is a turtle. But
I can just blend that.
Yeah, absolutely. You just thought he was French. I mean, he's got red, white, and blue all over his car, so it's fine. Easy mistake to make. It's all good. However, Jono Johnson is maybe looking to go to the outside through the chicane. Is that a mistake that he is going to make? He backs out of it wisely, side by side as well, as Mole tries to pick his way past Delaunay. There's going to be any changes in that regard. Jono Johnson in 8th place as it stands. And this fight here for 4th place is incredibly close, and it continues to be that. As side by side still, Gary Craig once again going for the same move to the inside of the final corner.
Continue it again. Round 2, ding ding. At it again. Now it's going to be a little bit wiser. You have to say it was impressive to take a risk. As you said, it's very, very difficult to overtake around here, so you do have to try something a little bold and brave. And if it doesn't work while you're off track a little bit, you got to just see how you can minimize your damage of your off-track excursions. But give it a shot, and they did. And I say give me a shot. Look at this. Maybe 3 of these drivers giving it a shot. No, 2, 3 through here. Otherwise, it'll end up a little bit pearl-shaped like that. We're looking at just behind Andrew. That's Jessica. Hey, a little Audi club here, isn't it? 4 Audi cars all separated around here.
Yeah, nice little Audi herd, Audi pack,
Yeah,
Audi
herd.
group, Audi school, Audi. I don't know. Yeah, plenty of names. It's a line for Jessica Rakowski though, as Crowther is able to hang on through the triple left-hander. Fairly similar in all fairness to Istanbul turn number 8, but instead it very quickly moves its way to cut back on itself.
Oh, you mean
Side by
without-
side here, Gary Crew. Yeah. Gary
Without
Craig.
the chicanes of death, as I like to call them, because they're in Istanbul, they have those really high curbs.
That's true. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, they do.
Well,
Yeah,
Formula
they've
1
got-
configuration.
Absolutely. Is there any other configuration of Istanbul? I'm
That's
actually
true.
not sure. Yeah. Nose to tail though. Look at that from Fowler, Alexander, I should say, and Gary Craig and Stephen Fry onto the penultimate lap of this race. As Fowler is able to get a bit of breathing room. Gary Craig looking to the inside, no movement there. It's nose to tail through turn number 1. What we've got here, we've got 6 cars separated by absolutely nothing in the final 2 laps of race.
Were
2.
they weaving to break to slipstream? They were a little bit there on the main. I didn't think it was that effective, like you would do an IndyCar or NASCAR. Ooh, we're on board right now with Arthur. He's sitting here patiently waiting. Well, you don't want, I mean, you'd say as a race driver, you don't want them to take each other out, but at the same time, if they do have a little bit of a tangle, you say, I'll take that one any day of the week. Of course, Arthur finished the first heat in P1 and 8 positions gained. But Craig is the one more of just up the road. You could see just a couple places there. That's the green machine of Gary Craig. So that's probably more he wants to battle with at the moment in this group of cars. Matt's still leading this race comfortably, you have to say it too, at the moment. He's got a 2.6 second gap. DJ. So that's just looking good. A minute to go now. You have to say that's a sealed deal. The sun just peeked out of those clouds right now, so the temperature will warm up a little bit. It's already hot in this cockpit, so I can guarantee you that with these drivers.
Absolutely. I've been driving around all day. Went to Norwich and back for the first time since passed my test, so that was fun. And I was baking as if I was in a sauna. It was not fun, and I don't like driving with my windows down as well because it makes too much noise. So I was just sweating like a pig, and I cannot imagine it for those down there on the circuit either. Sat in their sim racing cockpits, sat with the pressure, and sat with their wheel hopefully not overheating. Their PC fans going crazy trying to cool it down. I would not want to be sat in that room right now because it would be very, very toasty. 100%. Final lap of the race though, Matt Elmore. Again, as long as he doesn't mess it up, it should be his to win.
Absolutely. Yeah, my PC fan. I have a fan blowing on my PC, and I can actually feel the heat coming off it sometimes as it blows onto me. And that's a little bit of a mistake there from Stephen Fry. It allows Arthur through. Arthur's pushing it right now. He's just found an extra gear in the 74 machine. Can't quite say that the overtake's completely done yet. Now it is. And now he's got Craig up the road, but Gary Craig is his closest rival, but it's too far, isn't it? That gap is a miracle to make up, even for the best of drivers.
It's not pretty, to say the least. I mean, again, around a circle like this, it has been so tricky to overtake, and it's been a case of picking your moments best and hoping that you can bait the driver in front into making a bit of a mistake. Other than that, you've not really had much hope. Through the final couple of corners, though, 2 more corners for Matt Elmore, up 2 places. A fantastic initial getaway from the 99 machine. He flashes his lights. Race number 2 for round 2 at the SRL TCR Season 6. Round number 2 in Oschersleben. And it goes to Matt Elmore, who takes victory for the reverse grid race. Jay Corley and Russell Fowler, the AM winner and the P3 overall. As Fraser Alexander and Gary Craig round off the top 5 with the drag race to the line. Beyond that comes Arthur Thurtle and Stephen Fry. Jono Johnson, Sam Smith and Dan Mould, the top 10. Brilliant set of racing. Very busy, very jam-packed. And one I'm sure will be looked on as a pretty good race so far this season. A different type of racing, though, because you really had to think as to where you're going to get these moves done. You've had to be a bit more clever and a bit more patient with how you overtake them.
And we did see that a little bit more in this event. We also saw a lot of opportunities that were seized. Great racing overall. Not a lot of pretty incident-free, you'd have to say, compared to the first heat. Once again, I guess because everybody's, you know, learnt their lessons from the first one. Anyway, what we will show you at the moment is the feature results.
Indeed. So, top 15 reverse off the results of race 1, 20 minutes back on the clock, and this is how they racked up. Matt Elmore, Jay Corley, and Russell Fowler, the top 3 with Elmore and Fowler, your victors in both the Pro and Am class. Fraser Alexander, Gary Craig, the top 5 with Arthur Thurtle, race 1 victor, down in 6th. Stephen Fry, top 7 with Jono Johnson, Sam Smith, and Dan Mould, the top 10. Then comes Kevin A. Delaunay, Jonathan Cook, and Ryan Dudley. Andrew Loveseat, John Brown, the top 15. Derek Crowther and Jessica Rakowski, the top 17. Beyond that, though, comes Daniel Lewis, Paul Cugley, Alan McCain, JB Dejoux, Daniel Sedgley, Craig Walters, and Fraser Garrity, the 24-strong kart field here today. We've got a couple of people waiting in the interview rating room, so we'll drag them in as soon as possible. The first of which I can see is Arthur Thurtle. Race 1 victor, of course, from Mr. Thurtle. He put on quite the display, and it seemed like overtaking here today was of particular difficulty, Arthur. Can you talk us through that, how you were able to defend so well throughout the course of race 1?
To be honest, I have no idea. That was probably the best drive I've ever done. That was my first ever pole in a TCR, and only my second ever win.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, you looked good, and you kept it clean. You looked consistent, fantastic. That is pretty much how you had to get things done, I suppose, in that regard. Then you flipped on its head into race 2, obviously. From race 1, starting at the front, finishing at the front, it seemed like a hell of a lot of work to fight your way through to P6.
It was incredibly tough. Overtaking was nearly impossible. You needed 2 cars in front to battle, and for one to get a bad exit for you to then be able to try and slip past on the next corner. It was real tough, but I enjoyed it. It's the first time I've ever been sort of stuck to Gary Craig. He's normally out in the front, and I'm normally a few temps back per lap. So it was nice to actually have a bit of pace in the car and try and make some overtakes.
Fair enough. Yeah. Again, brilliant race for you in terms of the championship. Speaking of 2 weeks' time, though, looking forward in the season, we go to Spain, Catalunya National for round 3. What are your thoughts and feelings for that? How are you feeling around that circuit?
I don't know. I've only ever raced there once before in officials in GT4, and that turn 1 is going to cause a few problems, I think. But other than that, it's a decent little circuit. Should be good fun in the TCRs. Might be a bit small for the TCRs, but we'll see. It's not going to be any smaller than Knockhill.
Yeah, that's true.
I have a quick question for you, Arthur. This is something that we were in the casting box there, because you have the roulette wheel essentially, don't you, on the side of the car there? And but Zach was mentioning there's no 74 on the roulette wheel.
It's a Union Jack.
Oh, it's a Union Jack on the side in the circle?
It's the Union Jack flag.
Oh,
yeah. Okay,
I see it now. Yeah, there it is. Okay, it looks like a roulette wheel.
I'm not a gambler.
Okay. Well, there you go. There's the question. That's my question answered on that one.
Yeah, well, we just can't see colours. Anyway, before we let you go, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to on stream?
Shout out to all the organisers. They do a good job. You guys did a great job. I'll give a shout out to James, as it's one of the few times that he might be watching and not actually commentating. And shout out to all the drivers. Had a great night tonight.
Thank you.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't think he'd be watching. His missus is not going to allow him to watch anything. She's like, "You're getting away from this. This is our time." Thanks, Arthur.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Bye.
See you soon. Arthur Thurtle, race 1 victor, and P6 in race 2. We'll get a word with Jay Corley, who, unfortunately, not the best of races in race 1, but you bounced back really well going into race 2. Talk us through your evening.
So yeah, race 2 was just interesting from the start with the big incident. I wanted to sort of learn what I did in race 1, keeping it nice and smooth, see what happens, let the opportunities come to me, and luckily, luckily they did. So after that big incident, it was just a case of head down, keep it smooth, look for that opportunity, and in the end, it paid absolute dividends, and I couldn't be happier with where I managed to finish up.
Yeah, I mean, you drove really well, really consistently, and I think that is
Thank you.
the key attribute for success here at Oschersleben, because we were talking with Arthur Thurtle about the difficulties of overtaking. It did seem like quite a struggle for so many to battle their way through the field.
Yeah, I think halfway through race 1, it sort of clicked in my head to actually use that to my advantage. Just focus on learning the track a little bit more, seeing where everybody else was placed in the cars, and eventually in race 2, I did struggle a little bit to get past. I think it was Russell in front of me. He had an absolutely fantastic drive, by the way. And once I managed to get past that mistake there, I knew there was no chance I was going to be getting overtook from that point on. And luckily as well, Fraser as well behind me in fourth did me a massive favour with holding up everyone quite nicely.
Nice. Well, looking forward in terms of the championship rounded up here for round 2. In a couple of weeks' time, we go to Barcelona. How you feeling? Because I know it's one of those love or hate things. You either love driving the circuit or you hate it. What side are you on?
I love the circuit, but unfortunately, in 2 weeks' time, I'll be in the middle of a field in Derbyshire listening to rock and metal music. So I'm afraid next race is going to have to be my first buy, which I'm gutted about because I've never actually raced Barcelona in these cars, and that was going to be my first opportunity to do so.
Well, at least you're not going in there blind, I suppose.
Yes.
And you can come off for round 4. I think we're going to Donington for round 4, so you can come in there nice and hyped, listening to metal in your ears, probably very loudly because you'll be deaf.
Yeah, that's a
Well, I'll
question.
be in Donington anyway, so 2 weeks in a row I'll be in Donington, so
Oh, fair
I'll
enough.
make sure I touch the circuit a bit and get a feel for it.
Take a quick track walk.
Yeah, that's what I have a question for you, real quick. There, do you listen to music when you're driving? Does it help you concentrate? Or?
I have a little bit of lo-fi in the background, and it resonates with my soul slightly until I make a mistake. Then it just all gets tipped down the pan.
Fair enough.
Well, before we let you go, Jay, then is there anyone you want to give a quick shout out to on the broadcast?
Yep, just the absolutely fantastic job that SRL keep on doing, and for you guys as well, listening to you in between each races, and the talk on Thunderstrikes, it opened my eyes a bit. But no, thank you guys, and thank you to SRL, and here's to a fantastic rest of the season.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Jay Corley, then.
Take care.
Pleasure and take care. Yeah, thank you very much. We'll bring in Dan Mould, then, the organizer of things here for SRL. We'll drag him in. Dan Mould, the reigning champion coming into season 6, of course, and the big man at the top of SRL. Talk us through your evening, because it did seem like, no offense, but it did seem like you did struggle a bit compared to where we would expect you to be.
Yeah, I'm not liking the Honda at all. Tried a bit of a different bias tonight. Tried to get it quite low and steer it from the back, but don't think I've got the skills, to be honest with you. So I'm struggling, but I'm going to stick with it. I'm quite stubborn, so as much as I'm not liking the car and enjoying it, and I'm off pace, I'm just going to carry on and try my best to nurture it. I've started to drive it in the officials as well when I can get on, but it's good to see other people up there fighting as well. And I don't think it's a case of me being off the pace so much. I think it's a case of that we've just got some quick drivers in the league as well now. It's a lot harder of a competition.
100% agree. You spoke about, obviously, the adaptation into the Honda. What is the biggest different feel wise then, obviously coming from where you were last season into this season? Is it a steep learning curve? Surely the driving style is largely the same. Is it just a small nuance that you have to adapt to, or is it a vastly different driving experience?
It just feels like it washes out more on the understeer, which I don't really know the politics of the T. I love the TCR and iRacing, but I don't get that involved in and what's been changed each season. But from what I've heard, it isn't the best on the fixed setup. It's a good car on the open, but on the fixed, it's not so good. I've had a bit of advice to try and lower the bias to steer it more from the rear, but like I say, I'm struggling with that at the moment. As you saw in race 2, I braked a little bit too hard and the rear came around on me. So, but I'll keep at it. Yeah, it's a test, and I don't want to jump into the car that I'm comfortable in and you know and be up there. I want to and try and do it in a different car. So we'll just see what happens going forward. But yeah, it was a good race. I enjoyed trying to fight my way back through the field in race 2. A lot of it was just people making mistakes and people fighting, and I think I only made one actual pass in race 2, 1 or 2. But I say it's good to see people up there, who are new to the league fighting, and it's keeping the competition healthy, I think.
100%. I think it's a brilliant grid, and I'm very much looking forward to the rest of the season. Speaking of, 2 weeks time we go to Catalonia. How are you feeling? I know you don't like your chances in the Honda, but is the track any consolation for you?
I actually like Catalonia. I've not driven it as much as I'd like to in iRacing. It doesn't seem to be a track that gets used much at all, and it's one of the reasons why we picked it. We used to use it quite a lot in the Project Cars days within SRL, and it's always been a track we've all enjoyed. So I think we've chosen the smaller version of the Catalonia. We did it once in I think it was a Clio Cup car in Project Cars, and it was an absolutely fantastic race we had. But yeah, I've always liked the track, and I don't know why it isn't used so much within iRacing, but I'm going to put the time in, and hopefully I can be up there battling with the top 2 or 3. It was it wasn't very pleasing to see them driving away in race 1, and I had lots of sweat dripping down the back of my neck trying to keep up with them. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's a good break to get some laps in. 2 weeks. We do host 2 5-hour sessions of the week of the race, so everyone's we can all jump in together and compare lap times, etc. So yeah, bring it on. Let's see what it brings.
Fair enough. And well, before we let you go, as per usual, is there anyone you want to give a quick shout out to on broadcast?
I want to say I know he's quite made up with his P2, and thoroughly deserved with the dedication he puts in to our league. So yeah, Jay Corley, is it? I can never pronounce Jay's surname. I always get it wrong, but big congratulations and big shout out to him. He puts our league out there for us quite a lot, and we do appreciate it. And when I was in the race, I said in the Discord chat, I bet Jay's absolutely buzzing. So yeah, I'm well chuffed for him and everybody else who's involved and who keeps turning up and makes it what it is. We wouldn't do it without everybody involved. So yeah, thank you.
VJ4 out there says, "Shut me out, Dan."
Who's that? Sorry.
VJ4.
VJ. Yeah, what a legend VJ is. Yeah. Hey VJ. Yeah, he's into the GR with us. Yeah, good lad. Another big SRL supporter. But yeah, thanks to you two as well. I'm looking forward to watching it back.
Awesome. Well, hopefully we've done it justice. Thank you so much for joining us. Best of luck for the rest of the season.
Thanks a lot, Zach. Cheers. Thank you.
Cool. Awesome. Dan Mold then, reigning champion, and a couple of midfield results over the course of the evening. Anyway, in terms of moving forward in this season, I think round 2 had everything we could really ask for, Dean. I don't really think there was much missing. A difficult circuit for many, but maybe brighter futures ahead in Catalonia.
Yeah, exactly. That's going to be a fantastic track. And so that'll be it. We'll be wrapping this one up. So thank you very much, Zach. Always a pleasure to be in the booth with you, my friend. It's been a fun adventure. So more adventures to go here, obviously, for the SLR series. And make sure you hit the bells and like and subscribe there. And obviously, if you want to be joining this fantastic league, well, information is there to be a part of this fantastic racing family and the touring cars. And that'll be it. Everybody have a lay down and cool race-packed weekend, of course. You've got Formula 1, IndyCar, of course, and you've got all the different series that are here on the JB Broadcasting Network. So if you like your motor racing, trust me, your weekend is going to be plates full of action. That's it from us. Good night. Take care. Bye-bye.